What's up everybody, and welcome to another episode of Living With It. Today we are going to be talking about my favorite motorcycle in the entire world, the Yamaha R1. So this particular one is my R1. She's a 2011 model and I've owned almost all the versions of the R1 since 2004 except the current one, as it is priced at a ridiculous 30 lakhs plus in India. So guys, by the time this video is out, this bike would have already been sold and with the new owner. So before she leaves my garage, let's have a chat about this bike. So let's start this segment. Let's go and talk. 1998 was the year when Yamaha launched the first generation of the R1. And that was an important year because the design language was defined for the future models of the Yamaha brand. So let's talk about this particular model. 2009 was the year when the 6th gen of the R1 was launched. This particular one is a 2011, like I mentioned before, and it was not the most prettiest motorcycle when it was launched. But that was not the reason why this bike received so much of appreciation. It was because of this. This is the main reason why this bike was creating such a stir when it was launched back in 2009. So let's talk about the engine of the motorcycle. So this particular motorcycle has a 998cc inline 4-stroke engine which delivers about 180 odd bhp and it's mated to a 6-speed transmission. So guys, let's talk about the main technology of this motorcycle, which is the Crossplane crankshaft. So what exactly is this? So Crossplane is a crankshaft designed by Yamaha in which the pistons are adjusted 90 degrees from one another. This particular Crossplane technology has been taken straight from Valentino Rossi's MotoGP M1 bike and hence it sounds so much similar to it. So let's talk about some of the advantages of using a Crossplane crankshaft. First and foremost, it's got the power of a V-twin and the smoothness of an inline 4. Plus, the packaging is also of an inline 4 rather than a V engine. So, what I mean by that is when you have a conventional V engine, it takes up a lot more space and the chassis needs to be built around the engine. Whereas in the conventional inline 4, the engine can be adjusted forward or backwards according to the chassis for a better weight distribution. Another thing I would like to point out is the power kicks in right from 3000 rpm all the way up to 13,000 rpm till the red line. But guys, keep in mind this bike is really aggressive. It is in no way a starter motorcycle and you need to be a very experienced rider to get your hands on the R1. Now the R1 comes equipped with 3 rider modes. So let me run you through what's there on the bike. First and foremost, we've got the A mode, which is the fastest mode on the bike, and the bike is really aggressive in this mode. Then we've got the standard mode, which is a little bit less, and finally the B mode, which is the least. So guys, there is no traction control on this bike, no ABS. It came in the later models but there's not present on this model. So the only thing keeping it straight is the guy riding the bike. So personally, I really love that factor about the bike. So she weighs in at about 206 kgs wet, and it is a pretty wide motorcycle, as you can see with the width over here compared to the competition. So naturally, with all that weight and size, it is not the easiest motorcycle to handle in the 1000cc segment. I mean, a CBR 1000RR handles much nicer than an R1. Plus, you require a little bit of efforts and skills to dip it into the corners. But the advantage of the R1 is that it's got a really good front end stability. She's equipped with an electronic damper, which is really good, especially in our road conditions. Another thing about this bike is when you're into the corners and when you're exiting the corners, it pulls out of the corners like no other bike, as it's got this Crossplane engine which is designed to do all this. So let's talk about the suspension of this motorcycle. So up front we've got a 43 inverted forks, which is derived from the MotoGP. It is known as a Sukhoi style forks. One is for the compression damping and the other one is for the rebound damping. So both the forks have different functions. At the rear, it's got an adjustable suspension for compression and preload. Let's talk about the braking of the motorcycle. So up front we've got a 6-pot caliper braking system, which is really adequate for the motorcycle, and at the back we've got a Nissan unit, which is pretty good. Alright guys, so let me share my experience about owning this motorcycle with all of you. So let's start with what's what on the bike. First and foremost, we've got this. This is known as a double bubble visor, and this particular one is from Zero Gravity. So this is a very important thing when you're touring on a motorcycle or you're riding at a higher speed, and as it protects you from the wind blast. Second, the most important thing on the bike is this. If you've seen my previous video, you know what this is. This is the frame slider and it is used to protect the fairing. Then I've got these small little things over here. These are known as the spools and they are for putting the paddock stand on the bike. Then I've got braided steel brake lines, and these are really good and are much more better than the standard lines. I've also got a radiator protector grill which cannot be seen right now. Apart from that, I've got these are known as a storm grip, and they protect you from the heat as well as give you a lot of grip when you're braking on the bike. There are a lot of positive about the bikes and a lot of negative about the bikes. So the negatives are the ones which you come to know when you own and live with the bike. So let's start with my biggest complaint on the bike, which is the heat. The R1 is known as a toaster. It really heats up quite a lot and it's very difficult to ride in our conditions, especially if you're stuck in traffic. However, I have got a special trick up my sleeve, as I have changed the thermostat on this motorcycle. So on a normal R1, the fan kicks in at about 100-102 degrees, whereas on this particular motorcycle it kicks in at 85 degrees, which keeps the bike relatively cooler. So if you're having an R1 and you're facing the same problem, you can consult with your mechanic and maybe they can hook you up with the same system. The battery is another problem with the R1, as every 2 years, 3 years the battery goes. Not even 3 years guys, I think 1.5 to 2 years is the life of the battery. Another Crossplane classic is the cam tensioner noise. It's got a hydraulic cam tensioner, so until the chain is lubed, there is a rattle when you start the motorcycle. So a lot of people think that something is wrong with the bike, but it's not really a problem. That's how the bike is. Another complaint I have about the bike is that it's not equipped with a fuel gauge. So if you are changing the battery or if you reset your trip, you don't know how much fuel is in the bike. If you are someone like me who washes their own bikes and maintains them themselves, this part right here is the most difficult part to clean. Once the dirt goes under this, it's really impossible to clean unless you have some special tools. So that is a couple of things which I do not like about the bike. However, what you're paying for the bike is for the engine. Guys, Yamaha has nailed the engine perfectly. It is an absolute masterpiece and it feels really positive to ride this motorcycle. When you're out on the roads and when you wind the throttle open, it's a very positive feel. And that is what the whole experience about owning this bike is. You're basically paying for the engine of the bike and the chassis of the bike. Relatively easy to maintain this bike. I've owned my first R1 since almost more than 10 years, and the parts are pretty much the same price wise. The bike uses about 4 liters of oil and it's easily available at the company. The oil is known as Yamalube and it's about 450 rupees a liter. The oil filter is about 950 rupees, and the battery is another thing which needs to be changed quite often, and it's costing about 7,000-8,000 depending again. Well, this is a 2011 motorcycle and we are in 2017 right now, and the price point if you want to go for something a similar year would cost you about 9.5 to 10 lakhs. When you're buying this motorcycle, make sure that you get the red key. The R1 is equipped with 3 keys, by the way, guys. These are the 2 black keys, and you get a special red key which is used to reprogram the bike. So make sure you get that key. So guys, only one thing left to do is let's take it for a ride. So the Crossplane has a very unique sounding motor. It sounds more like a V-twin rather than a conventional inline 4. It's got that meaty, grunty sound rather than the smooth sound of the inline 4 engine. This is due to the Crossplane crankshaft, as the firing order of the piston is different. It's very easy to identify the sound of this bike. The engine sounds extremely aggressive and rough, but in reality the bike is super smooth. So your mind kind of takes time to adjust to the fact that how can something sounding so aggressive and rough be so smooth. So it takes a little getting used to it when you first jump on the bike. If you enjoy such videos, hit the subscribe button and press the bell icon for further notifications. So guys, like the video, share it with your friends. I'm going to be ending it now. So guys, till the next time, keep the rubber side down, over and out. Bye guys.